Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth here. So I wanted to do this walk and talk video in regards to change and healing yourself. I'm just kind of going through a mathematical equation in my head as I've been walking to understand that potential plus perseverance equals massive growth and change. And as I've been ruminating through these thoughts the last, I would say, like a mile and a half or 2 miles, just walking through my kind of neighborhood. Actually, I've never been in this part of my neighborhood in Seattle, and I saw this mural on the wall, and I just wanted to kind of start the video here because we kind of come through to this quote by Martin Luther King that says, "Only when it is dark enough can you see the stars." And I think that's very, very relevant to what is happening today, because it seems like everything is going dark. Like we're heading very much into a dark space, a technocratic type of future. And for those who are quote unquote woke or awake, understand the spiritual potential that we have and that we are sovereign beings, and all of this rebellion against the government and the suppression that's been happening, well, for centuries, or basically centuries from the government and aristocratic type of rulers in the past. But understanding that we are sovereign beings and trying to break away from this darkness. And so all of the ancient texts that we've talked about, not that we've talked about, but that has been out, from the Mayans to the Hopi prophecy, revelations in the Bible, they all talk about a lot of the end. And some things might literally, a lot of people take those texts very literally, but from a metaphorical standpoint, it's about the end times or the end of a system. So it is really, really easy to get caught up right now in some of the webs or the darkness or the mess of what's going on. But you have to root and ground yourself into nature within yourself to stay focused on the light. And I've been doing my, for anybody that's watched my channel, I hiked the Camino de Santiago to heal from divorce back in October 2018. So whenever I feel really out of whack and out of balance, I do walk and talks to myself, but also in the video form. And why this is important is because, in Seattle, we have a beautiful part of nature. And look, even this is just an example of how nature is always in blossom and in bloom. Even in the winter months, we still have, flowers that are blossoming and growing. So I wanted to do these thoughts through walk and talk, because surrounding yourself in beauty, this is the potential that we have. And this is where a lot of spiritual growth occurs, is through being inspired by beauty and evoked by emotions. Every human, every baby is born innocent. It is born with potential. As we age and grow and get indoctrinated by the education systems, by family situations, cultures, things like that, we tend to fall off of this path of growth. Now, one example I will share, because I don't believe in learning history, I don't believe in watching Hollywood movies and TV shows to learn life lessons, but if you've ever watched the show The Vikings, the one with Ragnar Lothbrok, I don't know the actor's name, but as he had an affair on Lagatha, you saw that Bjorn as a kid said, "You're disgusting." It was repulsive to him. But unfortunately, as Bjorn grew up, he cheated on his wife and had, affairs and all this stuff. So he became the exact same thing that the society or the culture that he grew up in became. So why is that important? It's because it just easily shows you how much we can be steered off of these detours on the path. So for example, I'm walking forward. This is the way to go to life. I'm at point A, we're going down to point D. But then sometimes, you have to go to a detour to the left or to the right. You get steered off a path, or maybe headed to the right will kind of wing you out a little bit, but bring you back, onto this walking path. at some point in your life, you have to take full advantage and control of your own life and your situations, but also your thoughts, your actions, and behaviors. That is part of the yamas and the niyamas in yoga. It's controlling your actions, thoughts, and behaviors. And now that we live in a social media induced culture, it is really easy to fall off the path and just live through the egoic mind and the lower mind that does not come from the higher points of our being, and it can just get into nasty arguments and thoughts. I'm gonna cross the street here. When you go through life, you will hit detours and you will fall off your track. And one example I will share is I spent, the summer in India when I was 22, and I went through all of this awakening and enlightenment and trying to live through an Ayurvedic lifestyle. And then what happened was that I worked for the government and I lost my way. I lost all connection to my spiritual path. I became so angry and mad because of the verbal abuse that I received almost every single day at work, and it damaged me. So getting out of that situation at its own divine timing led me back to fulfill myself in a spiritual sense. You have to understand that to heal yourself, you have to really want that change, and you really have to want to grow and evolve. And to know that you have potential, sometimes you just need somebody to tell you that you have the potential to grow and change and alter your situation. A lot of negative cycles and situations are caused by low frequency vibrations. So for example, I personally think the government is pretty low frequency. So when I was in the government, it's not that I lost my way completely. I didn't, become an alcoholic or anything, but I lost connection to that light. Now, this is where perseverance comes in. Need a free chair? Perseverance is, you hear about it from like Tony Robbins and all those really badass motivational speakers, but what perseverance is that will and hope that you will never, ever, ever give up. And as you grow and evolve in your life, you have to be open-minded that you might grow and evolve out of the things that you were taught even when you started in spirituality. I started with, I call finding Om, and I transitioned to finding home, having more of these Jesus experiences, Christ consciousness, whatever you want to say. It was not only having experiences where I understood that energy was directly from Jesus, but it was also going through what I call a soul graduation to continue to ascend. A lot of people on this planet are going through an awakening, but they're still very stuck in a lower plane of thinking. So I maybe this will be a separate video in itself, because I could talk like 10 more minutes on that topic. But when you have a belief in yourself that you have potential, and this doesn't just mean in work, like that's the very logical part of us. We put the spirit and the personal growth aside, and we just focus everything on the earth plane that is stuck in the material world. So the job promotion, all of those different things of getting, a PhD or a graduate degree, these things keep us growing, but not necessarily on a deeper personal plane. There was a news article many, many years ago that actually talked about how people with masters and PhDs were more depressed than people with a bachelor's degree. And I have a master's degree, and I remember sitting there thinking to myself, I kind of always wished I was like my sister, because she was just completely content and happy with so many things, and I wasn't. And there was a part of me that always wanted more and wanted to, that drive and ambition to want to achieve, or to become a writer, or to do this, that, and the other. And so a lot of my growth, it has happened in the career world, but it's happened more on the soul plane. I started off with yoga and meditation, and if you would tell me that 12 years later you would be having Christ experiences and finding the church to be a serene, beautiful place, I would tell you you're crazy, because religion is ridiculous. But my experiences, by looking through things from a metaphysical lens, you can read the Bible and understand it through a metaphysical lens, or an energy frequency lens that is not indoctrinated by religion. This will be a separate video in itself. But there are a lot of texts and things or verses in that book or other ancient texts. Rumi even talked about this back in the day, that you have so much potential, but with those peaks and valleys in life, you don't, that potential and that growth and that healing is not going to be a trajectory of just skipping from point A to B. It's going to look like the stock market. There's going to be these up and down motions, but if you don't stop, if you keep going, that's where things will be rewarded. I don't know if rewarded is the right word, but that's where things will evolve. And just being open to chronic evolvement, being open that everything that you even started off with actually might be wrong. This whole new earth concept that I've kind of come to understand within the last month actually talks a lot about kind of these biblical notions by ending, the revelation, the end times of ending the old system and awakening to the new. And so it still has a lot to do with the Aquarian energy of progress, of understanding science and spirit, living through the heart center. Basically, it all comes down to love and living through the heart. But yeah, if you look at a lot of things like geometric patterns, or you look at astrology, it all roots down to math. So the potential in this math equation, the potential is your spirit. The perseverance is the logical, rational part. How are you going to climb out of the valley to get to the peak? It's combining hope and a strong will with action. And that is, I think, the most important thing you can do right now, and ground yourself, or walk, or whatever, ground yourself. Sit on a bench in nature, do something to surround yourself through the inspiration. Beauty is inspirational. It's why people love fine art. They love, nice homes, hotel lobbies. They love nature because it's beautiful. The dark side doesn't have that. Bill Gates wants to shoot some crap up into the sky to cool down the temperature and block out the sun. It's almost like the movie Legend from 1985. Actually, I do recommend really watching that, because it's so biblical, but also spiritual in nature, in terms of the energies between light and dark, and masculine and feminine. There's a whole metaphysical side to that movie, but yeah. Okay, this video is really long at this point, but I just wanted to share these random thoughts as I'm walking. I'm actually way better at writing than thinking, because I have all these thoughts, and then when I get on a camera, this actually helps me a little bit with my communication process, but it's not always best communicated, because I do better with writing on a piece of paper or typing on a computer to really sit with these thoughts rather than just going on the fly. But with so many things happening in math, just like Albert Einstein, MC squared, blah, 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 that is, be your own math equation. Your potential, which is your hope and your spirit, combined with perseverance, equals change. But that change has to come from within. The drive that's within you must be authentic and coming from a deeper realm of really, really wanting to grow and change. And it takes one mustard seed to change things, or to grow and evolve an entire garden. It takes one seed. So whatever your seed is right now, it will grow and evolve and change. So I will end this video here at one of my favorite viewpoints. So just be inspired by the vastness of our landscape, be inspired by the horizon that is way in front of you. I recommend not dabbling in the dark. I would just stay in the light. Reframing your mind in a positive way to know that you are worthy, to know that you are worth everything that you would like to see, and this planet is worth it. Look at how beautiful this is. Why would we want to destroy it? But the old has to go, and that, you know, for destruction and creation are one. So your old ways, your old habits, behaviors, the people that are holding you back, the toxic relationships, that all has to eventually go in order for the new to make way. All right, thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and listening. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear what you think. I just think we can all learn from each other. And have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.